The gods of destruction and the angels who watch over them are some of the most powerful beings in all of creation, with no one else outside of the Grand Priest and Omni King that can stop them. And being that each of them have their own positions of power, what if I told you that there was a god of destruction who turned his back on his fellow destroyers, including their own angel, and went rogue for the sole purpose of wanting to kill the Omni King? As on the previous video for the part 1 manga chapter special, we've covered Beerus having to not only visit the Omni King's palace, but also kill off the Daishinkan, and further recap the events that have led us to this very point in time, to where we are going to finally witness Beerus versus Champa, Beerus versus Vados, and more importantly, Beerus versus his teacher, Whis. This is the story of Beerus' betrayal and the path he takes to destroy everyone in order to become the strongest in the entire multiverse. As once more before we begin, if you are new to this channel and have a love and passion for all things Dragon Ball and anime related, then be sure to go on ahead and smash that subscribe button and turn on all notifications by clicking on the bell icon to never miss a single upload. And if you guys love and enjoy Dragon Ball and cannot wait to see more, then be sure to go on ahead and slap a big fat like down below by giving this video a big thumbs up, along with checking out the official Dragon Ball fan mangas playlist located down in the description box below, to where there you will be able to find all the latest and best Dragon Ball fan mangas created by the community for the community. So be sure to take a minute to go on ahead and check that playlist out located down below. As we kick off the Beyond Dragon Ball Super 1 Billion manga chapter number 2 special, with Beerus having to be shown using the Super Dragon Balls to make a wish, and that wish initially that he had made was to make himself invincible to the other destroyers and immune to the other angels such as Whis, Vados, and even the Grand Priest. And with Beerus having to make this wish, it was as clear from the beginning that Beerus' motives was to overthrow all of the angels, all of the other destroyers, and even the Omni King, in becoming not only the ruler of all of the multiverses, but the king of all. So Beerus initially used this plan in executing it secretly, in gathering all of the Dragon Balls and making himself immune to the angels' power as well as the other gods of destruction. Which, bear in mind, this was created by a fairly new and upcoming artist, so again, the art might be a little wonky, the text and dialogue might be all over the place, but the narrative is still there. As Champa is the first person to confront Beerus, he went along to ask Beerus, "You are the only one to come to my district, Beerus." Vados, what do you think? So Vados gets this idea that something is off and that Beerus was solely here in order to gather the Super Dragon Balls. As Beerus overhears this and picks up that Vados may in fact know something, Beerus goes on to state, "As you saw, what's your problem?" Which Champa ultimately ends up stepping up to his brother in the fact that Beerus was kind of getting reckless with Vados with his tone, and as quickly as Champa went along to confront Beerus about this and having to let him know, "How dare you lose your manners in front of her," Beerus then quickly realizes that he needs to eliminate his brother. As Beerus went along to say to himself, "I have no choice. I have to eliminate them." And with Vados noticing this and picking up on the vibes, she goes along to cry out to Champa, "Lord Champa, get away!" As Beerus quickly dashes on in striking his brother, Champa not only had cognitive awareness of his environment in being able to stop Beerus' attack, but he also went on to ask him, "Are you serious?" And as soon as Champa is holding Beerus' punch back, surprisingly unbeknownst to Champa, Beerus sticks his hand out in a very similar pose as he did against Zamasu, and to everyone's shock, what Beerus ends up doing is Hakkaiing Champa. So Beerus right then and there is shown completely disintegrating his brother without even showing a shred of empathy towards murdering his own brother. Beerus then goes on to state, "If I let you take it seriously, I would be in trouble, so sorry." Which in turn, the dialogue is a bit wonky, so Beerus made it clear that if he did not eliminate Champa, then Champa could have in fact been a threat to Beerus, and he didn't want it to get to that level. So being that he wanted to save himself the time, what he ended up doing instead was completely Hakkaiing Champa from existence. And with Beerus then Hakkaiing him, he then went along to state, "Because he didn't think I dared to kill him, I quickly made it." As Vados is shown concerned about Champa having to be Hakkaied, she cries out, "Lord Champa!" But then as quickly as Beerus heard this, he teleports behind Vados, and he went along to tell her, "Worry about yourself." Being so quick that not even an angel can pick up on this, what Beerus ended up doing was backhanding Vados directly in the face, as he went along to state because she was shocked. She was not careful. So as of course Beerus is explaining this to a dying Daishinkan, Beerus is recapping the moment to where he was able to not only put Vados down, but also went along to tell the Daishinkan that it's because of Vados' concern for Champa that she ended up completely dropping her guard, making her open to Beerus' attacks. Now, I for one, as well as many of you guys listening to this, completely disagree with the notion that a destroyer can even keep up with an angel to begin with. Not unless of course there is an exception with a god somehow surpassing the powers of an angel, which has never been shown or been confirmed in the Dragon Ball Super series, but for this instance here, Beerus would not have been able to do this if he had not gathered all of the Super Dragon Balls and wished for this to happen. So as we observe Vados bloody, being beaten down, hurt, Beerus then steps forward as he goes along to tell her, "Don't try. You are not my opponent anymore." As Vados responds, "I cannot believe that you will kill your own brother." As she goes along to gather enough energy in her hand, for the first time we get to see what an actual angel is capable of when taken serious, and as Vados is gathering all of this energy together, she ends up firing this massive blast directly towards Beerus, as Beerus went along to comment, "If the power of the Super Dragon Ball came true, I would be afraid about her anymore," which basically implies to me that if the Super Dragon Balls did not grant Beerus the ability to survive any of the angel's attacks, it's safe to say that Beerus would have been eradicated just from this one blast alone. And what Beerus ends up doing is he ends up punching and deflecting this blast directly towards Vados. As Vados cries out, "What the?" Beerus ends up firing back as this attack overtakes Vados completely. And with Beerus absolutely sure that right then and there he was just about to kill Vados, all of a sudden, the blast that Beerus had deflected back towards Vados suddenly disappears. As Beerus then puts this into question, he goes on to ask, "Who hindered me?" As his longtime protege and master Whis ends up appearing, Whis ends up looking down at Beerus and telling him, "Lord Beerus, I find you all over the universe. Actually, you are playing here?" Which implies that Whis had been keeping track of Beerus, seeing the fact that he'd been traveling from universe to universe, and now the brother had arrived to help his sister. As Whis went along to tell Vados, "Big sis, why do you look like this?" As Vados ends up telling Whis, "Lord Champa is dead, he's killed, please be careful." As Whis replies, "Lord Champa? That is unlikely." As Beerus ends up chiming in, he goes on to tell Whis, "I killed him myself. You should know, so come here." As Whis goes on to acknowledge Beerus, he then goes on to tell him, "Killed your brother? For what?" With Beerus replying, "For me to become the highest god." And as Whis overhears this, Vado chimes in and letting Whis know, "My power can't do anything to him." So not only do we have the shocking revelation to Whis that Beerus had killed his own brother, but Beerus further goes on to clarify that he wants to be the highest god. He wants to be the strongest of the strong. As Whis then goes on to tell Beerus, "You gave me no choice again." In doing the exact thing Whis had done in Dragon Ball Z Battle of Gods and teleport behind Beerus, he ends up chopping Beerus in the neck, as then he goes on to tell him, "Sleep for a while. Everything might get better." And as soon as Whis chops Beerus, Beerus is stunned, but he doesn't go down. But instead what he ends up doing is slowly turns his head, as he then goes on to tell Whis, "It's not the same." With Whis having to cry out, "What?" Beerus then proceeds to punch Whis in the face. As Whis staggers back, we then get to see how Whis is getting pushed back by his protege Beerus. And as Beerus quickly charges after Whis, he then goes on to tell him, "You are too careless." As Vados pops up, she then ends up flicking Beerus away as Beerus hits the ground. So now we're getting a tag team of Whis and Vados versus Beerus. Now, realistically speaking, in the show, in the manga, in the anime, just one of these angels alone would literally just one-shot Beerus. So with Beerus being able to hold his own, that just goes to show that the power of the Super Dragon Balls are so effective that even a destroyer right now is able to hang in there against two angels all by himself. And with a massive blast having to be shown hurtling down from the sky, the blast ends up connecting completely. As Vados goes to aid Whis, she then goes on to ask him, "Whis, are you okay?" With Whis having to wipe away the blood on his lips, he then goes on to tell her, not okay at all. And through the dust and the debris, we notice how Beerus is still standing, with everyone having to ask, why? Beerus then goes on to tell them both, you think it's so easy? As Vados then goes on to comment, he seems to be using the power of the Super Dragon Balls for something. It's preventing us from breaking him. As Beerus ends up sticking his hand out reassuring the Angel's death, he went along to tell them time to finish the game. Goodbye. In firing a massive blast which catches the Angel's attention, they end up firing back at Beerus as a massive collision occurs, as only then the narration goes on to state, even if their power can't hurt me, which of course is from Beerus' point of view, but they have many strange techniques, so it's not easy for me to overcome them. I had to fight hard for 5 consecutive days. As the manga chapter comes to a close. Now, what did we learn? We learned that Beerus is able to endure the Angel's power, the Gods of Destruction power, but for Whis and Vados, what Beerus had to do was he ended up fighting both Whis and Vados for 5 consecutive days, 5 days straight, non-stop, before he was finally able to kill them. Now, I strongly disagree with that notion, being the fact that in the beginning of this manga chapter, we saw how Beerus was easily able to just kill the Daishinkan by impaling him through the chest, but then again it takes him 5 days to fight Whis and Vados, who are significantly weaker than the Grand Priest. That to me doesn't make any sense, but I really do hope that once this fan manga actually continues, that they expand more on Beerus' power, and perhaps maybe the Omni Kings finding out about this, and learning of Whis having to not only destroy the other gods, but the angels themselves. So again, I want to get your thoughts in the comment section below, guys. What are your thoughts on seeing a rogue god of destruction? What are your thoughts on the overall scaling? Let's say, for example, if Beerus ended up doing what Zamasu initially wanted, and that's wanting immortality, do you think it would work the exact same way, or do you think that maybe it would be different? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below, guys. Again, thank you all so much for your time. Thank you all so much for watching. If you guys enjoyed the video, be sure to hit this video up with a big fat like by slapping that thumbs up button, guys. Be sure to also hit that subscribe button on the channel and turn on all notifications, because in the next couple of weeks we have some really amazing fan mangas that you guys have wanted this entire time, and we were able to make that happen. So keep your eyes peeled for what's about to come, because nobody else had been showcasing any of these mangas that I'm going to be showcasing in the next couple of weeks. So again, thank you all so much for your time. I want to get your thoughts in the comment section below. You guys can check out and follow the creator, in which I will leave his Facebook link located down in the description box below. Follow me on Twitter, Instagram, all that good stuff, guys. Thank you all once again, and I'll be seeing you all down in the comment section below. Take it easy, guys. Peace!
This is the Galactic Emperor of the Universe, and of course I'm here to tell you to subscribe to UnrealEntGaming.
Also follow UnrealEntGaming on these social media platforms to stay connected at all times. And if you don't, then very soon you will all be dead! Oh, did someone say UnrealEntGaming? Oh my god.
The fuck's up? Put on some clothes!
Well, why don't you put on any clothes?
What? I don't need clothes. Jesus Christ, that's huge! What, Broly?
Frieza.
Uh-oh.
Prepare to die!
Cut.